Site Plan Review Technical Advisory Committee meeting of June 13th to order. We have one item on the agenda, 505 US Route 1 bypass for site plan review and parking CP.
All right. Thanks, Peter. My name's Patrick Crimmins with Ty and Bond. As Peter just said, we're here. The TAC work session, we had submitted a concept to you folks for 505 US Route 1 bypass, which is currently home of the Port Inn. We're at a conceptual phase right now. We're really just trying to get feedback from everybody. We met with Planning Board last month for conceptual consultation. We had a site walk with the Conservation Commission last week. We're going to be meeting with the Conservation Commission tomorrow for a work session. We wanted to meet with you folks for a work session as well, just to get any initial feedback, thoughts on the concept layout. The project is going to require some relief, so before we kind of finalize a site plan that we bring to the ZBA and then through the site review process for the various conditional use permits, we wanted to just hear what you guys had to say. The project consists of a 5-story hotel. It's a Cambria brand. Also consists of a Starbucks with a drive-through, as you can see. It's the site sitting at 505. It sits on the corner of Coakley Road and US Route 1 bypass, and it's unique, and it's bound on the backside by Hodgson Brook. So the layout, as we have it, what we're trying to do here is fit the program onto the site that the applicant is desiring to move forward with, but at the same time, we're trying to push it to the extent that we can up towards Coakley Road and US Route 1 bypass, away from the Hodgson Brook, to create opportunities for buffer enhancement. Right now, the site literally goes right up to the edge of the brook itself. So this layout, pulls that back, all of the impervious surface out of the 25-foot buffer, and all of the buildings out of the 50, where now there are currently buildings and pavement within that 25-foot buffer. There's a breakdown of the table. There's an overall net improvement of about 12,500 square feet of impact in the buffer from this layout. From a layout standpoint, the site right now has 3 driveways on Coakley, and also has a right-in, right-out on the bypass. The plan, as conceptually drawn, shows the closing of the right-in, right-out on US Route 1 bypass, and the closing of that center curb cut on Coakley Road. So there's only utilizing 2 curb cuts in this concept. The furthest to the west would be kind of the main entry 2-way drive in and out for both the hotel and the Starbucks, with the drive-through circulation kind of working down to the south side of the site, around the back of the hotel and up through the drive-through for the Starbucks. The existing curb cut, as shown, maintained in this concept that is near the light, that would just be a one-way out, largely for the exiting of the drive-through traffic. The project is going to require, I mentioned, some relief, which is identified on the plan. The hotel use itself does need a special exception from the ZBA. We're going to need some zoning relief with respect to the way it's laid out, and it is intentionally laid out, again, to push this to the extent that we can away from the brook, but where we have parking kind of right up to the edge of the property line, parking between the building and the street, those will all require zoning relief. We'll need some zoning relief for the locations of the menu board and drive-through, and then conceptually, the same thing with the dumpster where it's located right now, along the US Route 1 bypass up along the property line. Speaking to that dumpster, I guess the reason it is shown there, it doesn't show as well on the site plan, but that is where kind of the grade change starts to occur, and actually, US Route 1 bypass is higher than that section of site, so the thought is that actually would just provide a natural screen there. So that is the reason. Obviously, it's located to be convenient for Starbucks, but that's the reason it is located there conceptually at this time. We'll need a CUP for parking from, with a recommendation from you folks and ultimately from the Planning Board. We've done a preliminary parking demand analysis that shows that this site or this program would warrant 111 spaces based on ITE parking generation numbers, where the city's requirements would be 177. So we're providing 115 on site. Obviously, we'd provide a detailed narrative memorandum when we formally submit, addressing how we believe that this meets parking. What else do we need? I think that kind of summarizes it all. It is, conceptual at this point, obviously, but we have looked at the utilities and stormwater, and kind of put a little narrative in our cover letter, but there are utilities in Coakley Road. There's, I believe, a 12-inch water main based on the survey. So the idea would be the water would likely tie in there. Same with natural gas, electric, telecom. The thought would be to bring it all to Coakley. This is all conceptual. We'll have to work with the utility providers. We're looking for any feedback from you folks as well at this time relative to that. The sewer there was no sewer line shown on the survey itself. We went out and did a little investigation. There's a manhole that sits right between the two existing buildings down near the brook. There is an existing sewer line that runs out towards the Route 1 bypass, so the idea would be to tie into that with this project. Stormwater management, again, we're trying to minimize the extent of impact that we have. It's all conceptually we're planning on putting that all underground in a detention system and treated with a filtration system, similar to some of the recent designs that our firm has done for some of the projects that we permitted up along the North Mill Pond and elsewhere in town, out in Pease. And I think that kind of summarizes everything. But again, we're just trying to get as much feedback from you folks as we can so we can kind of work toward a site plan that we could submit to the ZBA first for relief and then come back to you folks with a formal plan.
All right, thanks, Patrick. Any feedback anyone wants to offer?
I have a couple small things. You mentioned it in the cover letter, but the site plan was missing the relief for the dumpster and the wetland CUP.
Okay.
All right,
Nick?
sure.
Yeah.
Throw a bunch of stuff out, see what sticks. So Eric, I'm curious on what you recommend for that curb cut that's right close to Route 1 and whether it's possible to move that further up Coakley Road, but I leave that to you. It looked odd to me that there's, barely one car two cars will block that intersection as designed, but I'm not the traffic engineer, so hold your
That's certainly a
fire.
concern. That's going to bring it
Yeah.
up.
No particular order, but that looks like a patio between the hotel and the Starbucks, and presumably there are doors to move between the two, but I don't know that on that pink area. I think it makes sense, given there's no outdoor space left. I'd seen a previous design for this hotel with some space behind it, and I understand we've moved further from the Hodgkins Brook, which is a good thing. But I think you need a really crack landscape plan. So a hardscape with some trees. That pink area, or whatever color is up there, needs to go all the way out to the sidewalk for the double-loaded bay at the front. So there's ample space there. It's the only place on the whole site for someone to come out of that hotel and have a coffee and sit. So I think it's undersized, given it's not a small hotel. The sidewalk looks like it should go to the last parking space on the the bottom south side of that double-loaded bay. I don't know why it stopped short, but maybe just a drafting thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a good catch. Thanks.
Looks like those three spaces outside. I don't know who's going in the garage and how it works operationally, but I guess everybody, whatever you put for a surface between the three outdoor spaces, I'm guessing that that's an open wall to get in the garage that's pier supported. So is it closed along from the hatched area? What do you see on the sidewalk from the hatched area that runs through the building all the way down to the 8 or 9 spaces to the corner? What do you see when you're standing out on Coakley Road?
Yeah, along that front.
Is it open, or is it got a screen? That's going to be important. Hopefully it's not open.
Okay.
But I think those three outdoor spaces you need to think about the surface where you plunked a tree there, but people are going to just walk over that to get on the sidewalk if they're outside the garage. No big deal, but figure that out. And I realize this is like 50,000 feet. I didn't know why there was a gap in the wetland buffer down at the bottom. It looks like there's actually trees in there now, but maybe that was just moving quickly. There was a twitch. Looks like 3 trees would fit in there, unless there's some stormwater thing that we can't see yet. I wondered how you were dealing with the grades, because there's such a big grade change today from bottom to top. Is there a wall that we're going to see come in next iteration? What's it made out of, how tall it is, whatever. Maybe there isn't one. Where are you sloping down and up? The dumpster screen, I can see people wanting to move that further from the wetlands. I think it's in a good location if it's screened properly, rather than screw up the outdoor space for the humans between the buildings, which would be the only other spot I'm guessing you'd put it, which would be more convenient for the workers, but would muck up that outdoor space. And then, to me, it seems really important, given this site's all impervious above the buffer, that you landscape. I know you don't control the state right away, but you're in it now, as I understand it, with all kinds of stuff splashing over. I think you need not trees along Route 1, but there should really be like a 32, 36-inch hedge, go along there to screen all that traffic. You're still going to see the cars when you're driving up on Route 1, but it's pretty harsh looking into this site with nothing there. And I do the same on Coakley Road between, those trees have to back off the edge of pavement where they're dropped into the middle of the green strip. But I would, between all those trees, put a boxwood hedge again. That's just it's going to look like De Lorenzo's car dealership, the way it's landscaped right now. I think you need a wall. You need, cheaper route is the boxwood hedge. That's probably good for me for now. Maybe back to Eric on the traffic.
What does that hatch area represent?
Yeah, is that a pass-through to walk through there?
It's just it's a striped island, so if cars went in and it was fully parked, they could get in, turn around, and come back out.
So is that a wall to the right?
That's a wall right there where
Yeah,
the
so
arrow was. Yeah, that's where
protects the wall.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So you probably have a door, if you screen those 8 spaces along Coakley Road, you'd have a person door at the end of the hatch. You'll have a door to get in the hotel, I'm sure, in the middle of that, inside the garage, right in there.
Yep.
But you could also have a door right there to get out in the sidewalk if somebody's
Sure.
trying to go in the front door.
Okay.
Same in the back.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, and to the driveway in Coakley, definitely needs to be moved back away from the Route 1 bypass.
Okay.
I was thinking maybe, if it was maybe opposite these handicap area.
Yeah, right there.
Area.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
left of
someone
that
coming
tree.
in and using that drop-off area would then still be able to get out of the side right there.
Yep. Okay.
But I don't know if that means it becomes an entrance only, and people are probably gonna try to use it as an entrance if it's there. You have to be well signed to be exit.
You mean an exit only?
Yeah, I mean, it's exit only now, but if you
Yeah.
moved it down there,
Could you do both?
Yeah, I mean, most likely traffic would come in that way anyways, even if it was only marked entrance, exit only.
You think they would? Well, not if it's not big enough, and Art in turn, yeah, I think it. People are gonna want to head for that drop-off, right?
Yeah.
And they're gonna, yeah.
I get what you're saying, though.
Yeah, I
whether
figure-
whether we configure it such that it needs to be a one-way, it's kind of turning you out,
Yeah.
or make it a two-way.
Yeah,
Or to the left of that tree, yeah.
Yep.
yeah, but it definitely needs to be moved away from the bypass.
Okay.
That'll help with queuing and operations at that intersection.
Okay.
I'm no traffic engineer, but I can't imagine it isn't a huge win not to have that cut on the bypass that's there today.
Yeah.
And landscape that, it'll be awesome.
I'm sure the DOT will want to see that driveway go away like it's shown. The other thing was the city is working to get a grant to get rid of that signal at Coakley and the bypass. And with that, we're also looking to build a connector road through the other site, on the other side of the brook here, the other hotel, the Fairfield Inn site. But, it's gonna need a traffic study done for this project, scoping meeting with the state and us, go over what's to be included, probably look at it both ways, with and without that signal in place,
Okay.
and what the impacts are.
Okay.
We'd be looking for some type of contribution probably towards that project,
Okay.
a fair share contribution based on the traffic impacts of the project.
Okay.
Did you have your hand up here?
Well, yeah, Nick touched on it, but I just wanted to see if you could answer. The topography on the site, how low is the site compared to the bypass? I think we talked about it out there, I can't remember what
Yeah.
you said.
There's about a 5 to 6 foot grade change across the site from Coakley Road down towards the brook. It's not totally graded out yet. The idea would be to create some, continue the bank and slope up towards the paved area, hopefully avoid the need for retaining walls.
Yep.
And then, so that way we can vegetate that, create buffer enhancement within there. But that-
Not too big a slope to get onto
Yeah.
Coakley Road.
No,
coming out of the driveway.
no, exactly, yep. Yeah, they'll have to be, to get the backside of the site up, there'll have to be some fill away from the buffer, that is, but,
Yep.
to get that parking lot up a little bit more. Get the grades to work. So that's kind of one of our next challenges in design is getting the grading put together.
And then the lighting too, I think the Conservation Commission mentioned it too, but it'd be nice if there's no lighting facing the brook in the back.
Okay.
Avoid that.
Yeah, all good dark sky lighting.
And this is not just a drive-through, you can go into Starbucks, right?
Correct.
So if there's a door on this end, you
Yeah,
might want to extend the
exactly.
sidewalk into.
Yep.
And then the hotel will own this building, they're just renting the space? Or
Uh,
it's like a ground-
they'll, I don't know how the deal works. I think both of the different,
Yeah.
the hotel, the applicant would own that and use the Cambria brand and then lease the
Just rent.
Starbucks pad.
That's going to require a grease trap.
Yeah.
Both the hotel and the Starbucks?
If the hotel is preparing food,
Yep.
then yes, but definitely the Starbucks.
Well, it's like rail. I could hear,
Right?
I could hear rail.
Freezing cold.
That great.
JC. Oh, you can't.
For JC.
Yeah. Superstar.
Trevor? Sorry, Pat.
Yeah, just, you'll have to go to Appendix D in the IFC for fire department access and make sure it complies. It's greater than 3 stories, so it would require a 30-foot wide aerial access road, which could be
All the way around?
not necessarily all the way around, although it does require 2 access roads, but you'll want to look at that and justify the single. But we would need to have a turning template for all the way around.
Sure.
And do you know what the construction type is planned to be?
Well, I think it has to be, because it's 5 stories, it must be podium over stick, especially given you're going to have a garage on the first floor there. But I'll confirm it.
You want to look at required fire flow for hydrants in the area, number and flow.
Okay.
Distance for the building based on the construction type and size. And that's also in both NFPA 1 and the IFC 2018.
Okay.
Just 5 stories above grade plane, and then just have a area, basement area?
Nope, that parking would be first floor. So that that hatching, if you're looking at to the right of the plan is lobby, amenity, fitness, and then to the left of it's parking on the surface. Yeah.
Okay, all on the same grade, it's just slab?
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
Trevor?
Yeah, so I guess what
just to go back to the Starbucks and ownership, you just want to be careful about how you structure that agreement with, Starbucks or the franchisee.
Okay.
Because you want to avoid it being a subdivision of land.
Okay.
So if the lease agreement is just for the, for the building, like, that's totally fine. But if you're having some sort of area, think of like a limited area or an exclusive area or something like that outside of the building, then you're towing up against subdivision. So just be mindful of that, and we'll probably want to see or get some assurance that the agreement between the franchisee and the owner is just for the building itself and not for the land.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
Kate?
Do you have any plans for solar on the roof at all? Or any plans for the roof?
I don't know that they've thought that far ahead yet, but I can certainly just raise the point.
Oh, okay.
And is the detention all below ground, Patrick?
Yeah. That'd be the intent.
And treatment as well?
Yep. Yeah, where the site is largely already impervious surface, we probably won't need a huge detention system, but we would still put one in to just slow the flows down and mitigate temperature, so.
Ready?
Yep.
Not that bad. At least not yet. So you're right about the water. It's gonna come off of Cogley Road.
Okay.
There's a 12-inch main out there. So you should take your fire flow off of that main, okay? It is connected to the main coming down from the booster pump, so you should have good water there.
Okay.
The existing water service for the existing building is on the corner of Cottage and the bypass in a meter pit. So you're gonna need to dig that intersection up and abandon the water service. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The existing sewer service follows that water line,
Okay.
so you're gonna need to have that TV before you come back. Tell us what size, type of material, and videos to see if we can reuse it, or whether you're gonna have to jack a new sewer lateral into place under the bypass.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
And then we're gonna wanna see that existing sign that's on the other side of the brook right now, removed.
Okay.
Remove the overhead wire that goes across the bypass that goes to the old meter assembly that's over there that's defunct. Meter's been removed, it hasn't been working in many years. The wire's still over the bypass, and the pole's still there, and the sign's still there.
Okay.
That sign for the anchor in, you mean?
It's the sign, yep, and it's in the right of way.
I'm just thinking for, in the future, if that signal goes away at Coakley, the left turn will be at Borthwick, so they'll want to let people know that that's how they get into it.
Right now, it's in a jungle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any plans for the other side of the creek, other side of the brook?
I mean, there's certainly opportunity for, continuing the enhancement plans. I'm expecting that the Concom will request that. So we certainly can look at it. It's a strange lot, how it, it fronts on the brook, in the back here, but the hotel behind them has the frontage out to,
Yeah, it's funny.
Route 1 bypass. This is just but yeah, certainly it's something we'll consider for sure.
Oh. Gotcha. Okay. It's not your sign. Gotcha. It's on their frontage of the jungle.
Any other questions? Do you have any
Strike the
other
sun,
questions, Patrick?
It's not your son.
No, I think, appreciate you guys taking the time to meet with me today and give me this feedback.
Sure, all right.
Is your next step the VOA?
I believe so, yeah. I mean, we'll obviously have to refine the site plan, and, but yeah, that would be the intent, because we'll need that relief before we can move forward. So,
All right, well, if there's nothing else, we're all set. Thanks.
thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
All right, that'll be the only item of business, so I'll adjourn the meeting.